Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got something a little bit weird to share with you guys. I'm not sure what I'm going to think about it. I haven't opened it up yet, but Vosteed messaged me on Instagram and said, we've got something a little bit different. Do you want to check it out? And I said, boy, howdy, would I. Boy, howdy, would I. In as boring a knife world as we live in right now, yeah, anything different, even if it's totally unnecessary, I'm going to say yes to. So, thank you to Vosteed for sending this in. I will link it down in the description. I can't promise it's available, but if it's out of stock, it'll come back in stock at some point. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me, and thanks to Vosteed for sending this in. So what is this? I'll tell you right now, it's called the Parallel. Because I wanted to make sure and look it up. It just saves me the trouble. I have to actually proof that I have not opened it. I had to break the seal. Yeah, I wanted to actually know what I was talking about so I didn't have to edit it back in later. Vosteed is a company that has become substantially more interesting to me. They still have room for improvement, especially, a lot of times I see their incredibly wide range for Rockwell hardness on various steels. But they are definitely leaning on the side of innovation. They do a lot of really interesting locks and designs and stuff like that. And that's the kind of stuff that's going to appeal to the modern knife user. Okay, boy, yeah, you guys weren't kidding, huh? What's special about this knife? It's ridiculously thin. Ridiculously thin. Why did I feel like I wasn't going to enjoy it? I'll tell you why, because as I've mentioned in past reviews, boy, that is thin. But as I've mentioned in past reviews, I don't love incredibly thin knives, personally, right? And the reason is because ergonomically they feel a little bit awkward. When you have something that's incredibly thin, obviously, especially here on the spine, which let's just do that first. That's going to be what people are probably most interested in, is getting the spine thickness, and then we can take a look at the edge here. So the spine, 77 thousandths. Definitely, in terms of stuff that I have reviewed on this channel, it is absolutely one of the thinnest knives. Furthermore, I think the scales are titanium. The problem is that this way, the backspacer is almost certainly aluminum, but at this, and the blade steel is 154 cm, I forgot about that. On their website, it lists this as $129. Now, obviously, I'll have it linked down in the description. You guys can go and check for sure whether or not it's titanium or aluminum. It's just hard to tell at this weight. It also only weighs something like, 2.5 ounces or something like that. This is interesting if you get a major benefit out of the cutting edge. And for me, personally, the only way I'm going to carry a knife like this is if it's reasonably comfortable, which we'll talk about. 2.3 ounces, no shock there. So this has, I guess, I'll call it a reverse tanto. If you say reverse tanto, there's like a small group of people, small group. There's a small hyper-aggressive fringe community that gets really upset about the classification of certain blade shapes. It's definitely thin behind the edge. I can't tell you guys that this feels miraculously... it's definitely slicey. Like, there's no doubt about it. But as far as, drag that I'm experiencing on a thin edge, through paper, does it feel like an absolute laser beam versus some of the other laser beams that I've handled? Yeah, kind of. I've definitely felt like thinner... they felt better cutting something like cardboard, paper, note cards, right? Less drag. Still very good, though. Geometry will definitely help play a role in edge performance, but the entire thing is very, very thin. So the benefit to carrying something like this is if you have fitted dress pants, right? If you have more than one thing in your pocket, if you like to carry more than one thing in your knife pocket. Personally, I think this is an interesting topic of discussion. I'd like to know what you guys think about this, actually. I don't know that I've ever, that I've continued to talk about this as the years have progressed. Personally, I can't stand to carry anything else in my pocket outside of my knife. I don't care if it's a beater and it's got scratches all over it, or if it's something that's super duper expensive and I really don't even plan to use it, I just want to carry it, right? I can't stand to have anything else in the knife pocket. I just want the knife. Something like this, as somebody who does not like to carry anything else in their knife pocket but their knife, I would be much more likely to put something else in that pocket, right? And it's strictly because it is so thin. I mean, let's actually get out some other knives and compare in this, I guess, this dimension. So let's get a whole bunch of classic stuff out that you guys are all super familiar with. And then we can compare. And I realize that a lot of these have aftermarket scales, but all of the ones that have aftermarket scales are almost exactly the same thickness as their stock counterparts. So the one I always use, because this is the Para 3 is the knife I've carried more than anything else. I've carried this knife more than anything else that I own. This is ridiculously thin. Oh my gosh. Hold on. Sorry, bumped the camera there. So this, yeah, I would say this is almost, it's almost half. Wild. Okay, up against like the Hogue Deca. Yeah. This, I consider the 80 20.5 to be pretty thin, and this is substantially thinner than the 20.5. It's obviously going to be thinner than something like the Rat, which is not a huge knife. The Bug Out. Now, this is a little bit deceptive, right? But these scales are roughly as thick, and you have to look at them at their thickest point, which is actually going to be up here, right? So I think probably the butt end is closer, right? Yeah. If you look like this, oh yeah, quite a bit thinner. Even though these are aftermarket scales, obviously something like the Shaman, that's going to be way thicker, right? This knife is making everything else look gigantic. So here's something that's interesting. How's the action? The Omega springs are incredibly tight, right? Incredibly. And the pivot action, honestly, is a little bit tight on this. Does this run? Actually not sure. There's the Omega springs are incredibly tight on this. This might actually run on washers, but I would be really surprised. It feels, nah, that has to be bearings. So this right here. So here's where the tension starts at almost 90 degrees. But it almost feels, and that's springiness. It's not tightness, it's actually tension. Really high tension. There is no way. I'm going to swing this as hard as I can. I guarantee I can't get it to fly out. Hold on. That's as hard as I can swing it. I can only get it halfway. The tension on the Omega springs is crazy. Getting it to deploy, though, yeah, you can definitely do it. If you pull these all the way back, yeah, the action is nice and smooth. But it's deceptively tight on such a small knife. It's going to throw some people. The combination of the lime green and titanium looks pretty good. You got a little wire clip, which honestly is probably appropriate for a knife like this. Ambidextrous mounting positions, which is smart. Thank you very much. Absolutely no blade play. Yeah, this is really, I mean, they called this like credit card thin. Obviously not as thin as one credit card, but I mean, like each of the individual pieces is almost as thin as a credit card. Yeah, I suppose very specifically, I don't hate the price tag, honestly. It's a Chinese-made knife, right? If you... There's always like one guy that's like, guys, wait! Guys! He's deceiving you! It's made in China. Everybody knows. Guy, I'm assuming your name's Todd. I don't know why. Everybody knows, Todd. Vosteed knives are made in China. Thank you, though, for trying to save us all, right? From the deception of Metal Complex. Yeah, everybody knows that. Thank you. But as far as Chinese production knives go, combination of... Now, if I find out this is aluminum, which I don't think it is, then it should be less, right? But titanium and 154cm, I think they want 129 for it. It's not terrible. I think I would have been really impressed if they had hit like, $99. I think that would have been really, really cool, which... Truthfully, I feel like they're more than capable of doing. The idea is kind of neat, though. And admittedly, for being so thin, they did a really good job knocking down the edges. See right here? I thought this was going to be super sharp. Pardon my gross fingernails. No, not bad. Pretty nice little chamfers, but it's not going to be like an ergonomic masterpiece. But as far as what I'd expect from a super duper thin pocket knife, yeah. Not bad. Screws go, for some reason, this screw goes all the way through. What is going on here? these two screws back here. Oh, it's the, well, okay, so you have a lanyard screw and you have a backspacer screw, and then you have this. What on earth does this hold in? Oh, it's the cartridge liner. Okay, that makes sense. Weird though, a bunch of screws. All right, super thin knife, interesting. I'll have to carry that one and give you guys my final thoughts in the full comprehensive review, which is obviously not going to be today. I didn't give you guys an overall measurement, so I'll do that here real quick. Overall length coming in at 7 inches, blade length roughly 3, cutting edge about 2.85, you could say 2.9. Okay, that's going to be it today, guys. Stay tuned for the review. I'll have this linked in the description. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on the Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.